So let's continue on.
I can prove that I'm from the tribe of Judah. You know why? Because I trace my roots back to Mali. Sandita Keita. He was an Israelite who started the Mali Empire, right? And they have subsets and sub-clans. Not all of the Mandinka are Israelites, okay? But there are certain sub-clans that are Israelites. And one of them is the Hayes clan. That's where my people come from. So I traced them, their oral tradition. There's books on it. They got taken to Spain and Portugal. And from Spain and Portugal, the plantations that they got taken to in Jackson, Mississippi, is where my people come from. Question to you, why don't you ever go in front of these Khazars and these Ashkenazis and make them prove that they're Israelites? You always get in front of
and this is a question ever since I've known about Vocab Malone. I've been asking this same question. You've made an entire platform off of challenging the Hebrew Israelites and trying to say they're not Israelites. We made this up. We've come to some kind of claim. We've come to some kind of realization or wake up point that we're Israelites, but we're really not. Right? That's what you say. But you never see him do this with small hats. We've never seen. I haven't seen it.
Never seen you go over there to Israel and ask them, or get in front of they and ask them, prove that you're from the tribe of Judah. Prove that you're from the tribe of Ephraim, Manasseh. You never do that because you have an agenda. Now, I would debate you.
Well, you asked me a question. I'll answer. I'll answer the question. Okay, I thought you asked me a question, though.
Hold up. Khazars and Ashkenazis, which come from the Isles of Gentiles when you look it up in Genesis, how in the heck are they Israelites? You always run from this topic. I will debate you on this platform right now, and I can prove that Negroes are people, at least my people, before your Khazars and your Ashkenazis. Would you take that debate?
I'll tell you well, I'm going to answer your question. When I talk to a Jewish person who rejects Jesus as a Messiah, I don't ask him about their haplogroup. I don't ask him about their great-grandpa. I ask him why they reject Jesus is the Messiah. I try to have conversations about Jesus is the Christ.
You don't make them prove who they are. You don't have conversation with them to try to make sure that they're actually the true children of God. You don't do any of that. But you want to talk to them about Jesus. And that's funny. I find that kind of, like Alan Cooper said, sidestepper. I find that very hilarious because I see you having conversations with Muslims. I see you having conversations with Hebrew Israelites. I see you having conversations with atheists, but I never see you talking to a so-called Jew or a small hat, rather. I don't see that. You say you talk to them about Jesus. Where are the receipts? Where are they? I haven't seen it.
Shows how Hebrew Israelism makes a person forget the gospel and want to start talking about lineages, despite what Titus 3:9 says.
So, then why are you talking about our lineage then? Those are the only two, or both, really. That's the only conclusion you can come to.
The problem with Sakari is it's a matter of fact, and you JJ, as well, commit this error that you think this imagined lineage you can't prove gives you special theological privileges. That's why we also undermine your claim there. You're not a good debater, but you shouldn't be puffed up about it yourself. If we have a time debate, it's not going to go.
You're not ready for it. You've been on my platform. You got
JJ. You really think that because your last name is Hayes, you descend from the Hayes clan? Well, guess what? I have a Jewish friend whose last name is Reuben, so he must be a Reubenite. Because your last name is Hayes, you descend from the Hayes clan? Well, guess what? I have a Jewish friend whose last name is Reuben, so he must be a Reubenite.
Let's allow JJ to respond. Go ahead, JJ.
You have a Jewish friend, but do you question his lineage? You proudly said he was Jewish. That's what you said.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha HaKwadash, and double honors to the other apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Salute and honors to your other brethren, you fellow believers. That includes you sincere sisters, and shalom to the elect. So anyway, this video is by the Sakari brothers, and the Sakari brothers, they was one of them did it. I guess whatever you call it. He actually just went over the debate, did a commentary on the debate, and in the debate, you had Vocab Malone who said that, well, let me go first with the brother in the debate. He said that he can trace his lineage back and so forth and so on. It doesn't matter. I know who I am. I know me personally, I know I'm an Israelite. At the end of the day, a lot of us we can't trace a lot of our lineage because it was destroyed. I mean, our lineage is here, but the information was destroyed. We know through the Spirit. We can go back in the time of Babylon when they was released out of Babylon. I believe it's Darius, if I'm not mistaken, and they had to use the Urim and the Thummim to determine lineages. For some who lineages was reckoned. But now we use the Spirit. It's the same thing. It's the Spirit that dwells with us, as Romans 8:16. And then Vocab says, then the brother tells Vocab that is basically because Vocab said I'm Sicilian and German. Well, that doesn't even matter because a lot of the Sicilians was Jake too. And then you had our people in Germany. But this brother said, well, this proves you're not. So that him saying he's Sicilian, and he said, well, Sicilians aren't Israelites. That's not true. Not all of them, but it's a good portion of them that are Israelites, just like the Philippines, right? Anyway, you can't go back and forth, and that's another thing, that I wanted to bring out in this video, the back and forth stuff, man. At the end of the day, what are you going to get out of this? I mean, I know it's their kind of community, so to speak. So if that's what they're going to do, the Lord set it up for them to do that. Let's go to Proverbs 21 and 16. Let's go to Luke 9 and 60. It says, Yahweh said unto him, let the dead bury the dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of Yahweh. You're not preaching the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, sitting on a panel debating Vocab alone. Now, I will get into the point with this debate or this discussion, and the brothers of the Sakari was on point with it, something I was saying a long time ago, when he's like Brother Polite, when these people come up with all these debates, start questioning them on their doctrine, right? So he says, let the dead bury the dead. We don't got time to be back and forth on a panel with these people. Proverbs 21 and 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So when somebody wanders out of the way of understanding, you got to let them go. And Vocab is not even in the understanding. That's the thing about it. He has no understanding. This Bible is for Israelites. This is not for him. Right? And he carries on, the spirit of definitely an Edomite, but he's got like perpetual fire on the left-hand side, kind of like a wicked Israelite. That's just my opinion. But anyway, he says that the people over in the Holy Land, right? He says the people over the Holy Land, they all claim that they are the people of God. That's what they say, right? This guy, what's his name? That look like Emmett Brown from Back to the Future. Dr. Brown, right? They have similarities to me. But anyway, Dr. Brown claims that he's one. So it's crazy how these people can claim that they're the biblical Israelites. Well, they don't even say Israelites, but they can claim that they're the people of God. But when we claim to be the people of God, it's a problem. Another thing I notice with the Christians, the one thing they'll say, they will admit that those are God's people. Those are the head tribes of the people. Because you got to understand, when they say that they're the people of God, they're going to be the head over the earth, but the Gentiles can come in. But they're going to still be the leaders. It's crazy how people set themselves up to be put in a land that claim to be leaders of the world. When the scriptures in Deuteronomy 28:64 says the Israelite was scattered among all people from one end of the globe even to the other, but for whatever reason, they all look the same, flowing in there. And they're not even allowed to have DNA. Like, so, come on, man. So the brothers is on point with that. That was a very good, informative discussion, you know. But this is what we've been saying. And every time vocab comes up, this is what should be saying. And you see how uncomfortable he looked. He looked clearly uncomfortable. I hear all the Christians, what's his name? Kai Jackson, or Ty Jackson, the Christian channel guy, and Elder Mike, K-Dub, all those guys say that those are the people. And that's, when you look at racism, there you go right there. There you go right there, when clearly the children of Israel are scattered. And the prophecies fit the book of Deuteronomy in different age times. You know? So anyway, we're going to touch on Titus 1 and 9. Titus 1 and 9. We're going to go to some commentary. It says, holding fast the faithful words as he have been taught. Okay, nope, that's not it. Let's go to Titus 3 and 9. But avoid foolish questions and genealogies, contentions and strivings about the law. Right? This is the point right here about the law. For they are unprofitable and vain. So these things, these genealogies and contentions was going into the law and the genealogy. We're going to get into that, and we're going to go to Timothy 4, 1 and 4. Let's see what Timothy 1 and 4 says. It says, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in the faith, so do. So we're going to go into some commentary on that, Barnes' commentary. It says, neither give heed to fables, that is, that they should not bestow their attentions on fables or regarding such trifles and as of importance. The fables here refer to where probably the idle and puerile superstitions and conceits of Jewish rabbis. The word rendered fable, right, mythos in the Greek, means properly speech or discourse, and when fable or fiction or mystic discourse, and such things abound among the Greeks as well as the Jews. And that's the key, because when I did further research on this in the past, you know, we always had our doctrine as Israelites, and the Greeks had their doctrine. But what we would do, is the Israelites always have done, is we would merge our doctrines. So in reincarnation, they would go into the other parts of reincarnation as different animals, and we came from this and we came from that, and they boasted in the law as well, which we'll get into. Going back to Abraham, like somebody might say, I sit in the seat of Abraham, right? Well, in Matthew 23, he said that they sit in Moses' seat. That's what he was talking about, when it was going back to genealogy, because that's how they spoke. They boasted in the law. And this is what Yahushua was doing in John the 9th chapter, when he healed the blind man on the Sabbath day. And that's why they called him a devil. Now, they had an issue with that, because it was not according to law to do something like that on the Sabbath. The reason why Yahushua has come, and the Lord brought him here, is to bring us back through faith. Not so much the law. Although you need laws, everybody needs laws. So we follow the law, you know, to the best we can. But at the end of the day, it's by faith that you are saved. And the Sakari group don't teach that either. Because you could follow the law and still be wicked. Right? That's what they were doing. Anyway, let's go down to genealogies. And endless genealogies also refers to Jewish teachings. The Hebrews kept careful genealogical records, for this was necessary in order that the distinction of the tribes might be kept up. Of course, in a lapse of centuries, these tables will become numerous and complicated and extended. You know, when that Antiochus Epiphanes came as well, they bore hell on us and we got destroyed by that, right? So that they might, without exaggeration, be called endless. The Jews attached great importance to them and insisted on being carefully preserved, as the Messiah, however, had now come as a Jewish polity was to cease. I want to get to the point. Where am I at? Basically, let me see if I could find it. Basically, it was a lot of back and forth about the genealogies and who I am and so forth and so on. But they was using it on the left-hand side, as I said, we've always done, like with merging into the other forms of doctrine. Let me go here. This is another one. It says genealogies, not merely such civil genealogies as were common among the Jews, whereby they trace their descent from the patriarchs, which is their fathers, to which Paul would not object, and which he would not, as here, classed with fables, but Gnostic genealogies. Let's look up Gnostic genealogies. Let's see what it says. Gnostic emanations, the levels of spirit that emanate from a pure spirit being during creation. Right? So you got to understand that they put a lot of fables and a lot of certain things they said to help benefit their practice. Right? Gnostic genealogies, spirit of eons, which goes to time, I believe, as they called them, list of Gnostic emanations. Right? And erroneous, the Judaizers here alluded to, while maintaining a perpetual obligation of the Mosaic law, joined with the theosophic ascetic tendencies. Let's look up that. Theosophic, they just come in, these scholars, they got to sound real deep. And just instead of saying what it is, and theosophy, asceticism, the practice of those who are high souled and do not commit sins in the word, deed, heart, or soul. Theosophists believe that direct contact with a deeper spiritual reality can be achieved through inutations, meditations, revelations, and other states that transcend normal human consciousness. Right? So you got to remember those other gods, they, you look like Esau today. He worships other gods and he prays on the left-hand side to reach a higher state of consciousness. The Israelites was involved in doing things like that, We've gotten away from the Lord. The mysteries deeper than others could see. The seeds, not to the full-grown Gnosticism, post-apostolic age existed. This form of transition state between Judaism and Gnosticism, endless, refers to tedious and unprofitableness of their lengthy genealogies. Right? Paul opposed to their eons, the king of eons of the Greek. Right? The king of eons, the Greek, whom be gloried throughout eons of eons. So the Greeks, they was in all that. And this is why Paul was, Paul had a situation where he still needed to use guile. These people really believe wholeheartedly what they believe. But what he was trying to do is convert them to the Messiah. And they was using these fables and genealogies to prosper and to profit. Right? The same thing the Comfy does. Right? He had that left-hand energy. Right? And I'm the God-sent comforter. It's kind of the same damn thing. The Lord used me. I was back then and I'm back now doing what the Most High sent me to do. And the Lord killed them. And all our people followed that. And we would say that's wrong. So no, technically, I'm not going into trying to figure out the genealogies of my family, and I just know through the Spirit, as Romans 8:16 says. It is a spirit. We what does it say? Basically the Spirit, like John 6:63. 8. Let's go to Romans 8:16. Is the Spirit that bear witness, I believe. Right? Is the Spirit, this talks about the heirs of Yahushua. right? The Spirit bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. That's all you need to know. All that great grandpa and great grandma and, well, patriarch, great grandfathers and all that, it's not going to profit you anything at the end of the day. The only thing that's going to profit you is seeking the Lord, knowing you an Israelite, and believe and follow the laws to the best you can, and mainly faith. You know, so there's a point there, but that's not really what it was talking about. Because when they was talking about that, the endless genealogies, it was all the prophet over other Israelites, right? And this is why we don't normally say who we were in the past and so forth and so on. But there's nothing really wrong with it unless you start getting into debates about it, right? And it's not a fable to us to know our history and we were somebody. But when you start making these debates and quarrels and arguments over it, right? And for real, this is really talking about amongst other Israelites, not amongst heathens and believers. Let me say that, not amongst heathens sitting on panels. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.